Hi everyone, we're Kapow, comics, cartoons and collectibles. I'm Sonya.
And I'm Al, and here we are at Kings Comics, and what is going on with you?
What?
You're
I'm having a cruisy episode. We're looking at I Feel Sick and Batman Earth 1.
Yeah, and then Ray's going to be in, we're going to look at Legend of Korra, but what do you mean cruisy?
What? I'm simply conserving my energy for the screening of The Dark Knight Rises. I only have a certain amount of energy. I want to make sure it's all there.
You know what, well, I know you, and I think you're going to amp up as soon as we get to our review of Hit Girl.
Really?
Yep, straight away.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see.
Yes. Mark Millar's Kick-Ass was a huge success, both as a comic and as a movie, and I think it had something to do with a certain 10-year-old who went out, fought crime like a psycho ninja blade master from hell.
Yeah, I think you may have a point there. Now, when the film came out, a few people were disturbed by that concept, but she's got to be one of the most interesting characters in there, and certainly one of my favourites.
Oh, definitely, she's one of mine too.
Yeah, little wonder then that Millar has brought out a mini-series that focuses on Hit Girl.
So very awesome. Now, it's in between Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, but you don't need to be completely up-to-date to be able to read this comic. You could have just watched the movie and you'd still be okay.
Yeah, as long as you were aware of the changes that were made for the story, for the film.
Especially the origin story of Big Daddy.
Yeah, now there weren't that many changes overall made, but with that there was. Now, we're not going to go into it, just in case you want to catch up on it yourself, but there is a fairly significant origin story change there. Now, in this one though, this miniseries, it's slated to go for 5 issues, and it focuses on Mindy McCready's attempts to fit into life as a regular pre-teen, while also sneaking out at night occasionally to dice up mobsters.
There is not a lot of dicing of mobsters in this issue. It's more setting the scene and setting up the characters that are going to be the main players. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see the origin story of Red Mist, which is in here as well.
Yeah, he's trying to do his first super crime, which he's going to mess up massively, I have no doubt. And that's going to be very entertaining. But I think that's also going to be great because it's sort of the mirror image of Kick-Ass when he was starting to become a hero. So that's going to be cool.
I think that's what I really like about this first issue. We're already beginning to see the other side of the characters. I mean, previously, Mindy's really just been a bit of a sidekick.
Yeah.
A cool one, but still a sidekick. So it's really nice to see her taking center place of her own comic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's interesting to see her being a kid rather than being this little ball of violent, pointy things and curse words.
Yeah.
I mean, it really gives an extra dimension to her character to see her try and blend in with other kids her age.
I also really like the flashbacks to her and her father. You know, the time that he dumped her in a river, handcuffed, just to make sure that she was paying attention in escapology lectures. But she looks back on these as warm, fuzzy childhood memories, and I think that's why it works. Honestly, she should be incredibly maladjusted, but she's not, so it all just makes sense.
No, it's true. I mean, and there is something to be made of that. If she's fine with it, why shouldn't we be?
That's right.
It will be interesting to see whether that facade cracks at all as the series goes on, though.
Well, there is that one panel when she's talking to Big Daddy's grave, and you just see this little girl kneeling in front of a gravestone, going, "Why can't I deal with the bullies at my school?"
Yeah.
Well, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Well, the image is completely at odds with the words that are actually coming out of her mouth.
Certainly is.
And that's classic Millar. really sort of taking the edge off with a bit of dark humour.
Now, we can't go on without talking a little bit about the artwork.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah. John Romita Jr. is back on board for Hit Girl, and it's really nice to see. I mean, the artwork, it's nothing new, it's nothing special, it's nothing we haven't seen before.
No, yeah, look, I agree. I know Millar did get in Leandro Fernandez to start with to do the art for this, but then took a look at some of the work and went, no, it's got to be Romita Jr., got to get him back in. And I think that was a good decision, because basically if you've got him doing the work in Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, and just sandwiched in the middle here, it's got a different style of art, that would have clanged. These characters have a certain look to them.
The art is really good. I mean, they just look like they're people in cosplay, and that's I love what Romita Jr.'s done with that. Plus, when the blood begins to fly, nobody draws it quite like he does, and I'm so looking forward to that.
You're a little scary today.
Oh, I just really like this. I think it's going to be a really fun little mini-series. So if you like the movie just a little bit, or you've read the comics, you should check out Hit Girl. It's definitely a buy from me.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to wait for the trade.
Fair enough.
Rather than getting the singles. It felt a little short. I mean, even with a sneak peek of Millar's other title, Secret Service, tacked on the end, honestly, if I wanted to read that, I would have bought that. So I felt like I was a little bit shortchanged on this one. So it's still a buy, but it's a delayed buy. It's a wait for the trade buy.
Nice.
I Feel Sick is a new double-shot comic from creator Jhonen Vasquez, who also was the creator of Invader Zim. Which we love.
We do.
And we've decided to focus on both of the issues for this review.
Yes, now our decision to look at both have absolutely everything to do with thoroughness and nothing to do with the fact that Alistair bought issue 2 by mistake and then had to go back and buy issue 1.
Absolutely nothing to do with that at all. But the thing is, honestly, I probably would have gone back and bought the second one, or in this case, the first one anyway, because I love this comic. Both of them, they're great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this as well. I mean, I am such a fan of Invader Zim, and Vasquez has brought that same really twisted, dark humour into this comic as well.
It's so twisted, isn't it? I mean, it focuses on a painter called Devi, who also featured in one of Vasquez's other comics, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Also very funny.
Which, she comes back in this one, and this is all about her. Now, she's trying to maintain her artistic integrity while splitting her time between doing a contract job for some publishers and arguing with a malevolent supernatural presence that lives inside one of her paintings.
Yeah, so, she's just a girl dealing with everyday issues that we all have to go through at some point. What?
Seriously, you are creepy today.
What? Maybe not all of us have to deal with these
not.
things. Anyway, the point is I loved everything about I Feel Sick. The dark humour really hit the mark for me. The flashbacks, the casual weirdness, and the art style is classic Vasquez, with colours by Rosaric Ricky Simons. It's just perfect for me. I think it's hilarious. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And Simons, incidentally, did the voice of Gur in Invader Zim. Yes, indeed. He's tacos! Tacos!
But we can't just start doing quotes from Zim.
No.
It's not that.
Serious.
We'll review that another time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is a bit of a pace change between the two comics. Do you think that's going to throw anyone off?
Look, it may do, but the thing is, this was originally slated as a 1 issue, but there was so much that they wanted to put in there that they split it into the 2.
Yeah, it still reads best, I think, when you read it one after the other.
Yep.
I mean, in the first issue, it's mostly given over to setting the scene and also to a series of flashbacks of Debbie's disastrous social life.
Which are hilarious.
Aren't they? Especially the one where that vampire poser tries to pick her up in a bar. He ends up immolating himself with one of his own smoke bombs.
Laughed my ass off.
Look, me too. As I said, there is a pace change in the second one then that it sort of accelerates into the plot at that point.
Yeah, it does. Look, I must admit, I do kind of wish that they'd left it as just one double-sized issue rather than splitting into the 2. But it still works really well with that one.
Yeah.
Now, we may be a little bit light talking about the plot on this, but that's mainly because it's so peculiar that we really don't know what to say.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
It's jam-packed with random monkeys, psychic fat, and unexplained mongooses. Mongeese?
Mongai?
Mongwa.
I don't think so.
Look, the point is that this can be seen as many things. It can be seen as an allegory for Vasquez's frustration working on Invader Zim, or it can just be seen as a dark story about a girl and her struggle with a doll that has blades for feet.
Either way, I love it.
Either way, it's awesome.
It's
and
awesome.
I am definitely giving it a big old buy.
Yep, I am also giving I Feel Sick a buy. It is just too funny for you not to pick this one up.
Yeah.
I mean, if you find characters called, Filler Bunny, who are just so adorable and just want to die at the end of a comic, hilarious, you're going to love it. However, if you kind of find cats that have acid for blood not that funny, you might just want to slide on past this one.
Come on, it's funny.
It's so funny.
Cat
Acid for blood.
It's very quotable. You'll be doing it for hours. Tacos!
What's wrong, Sonya?
I want a polar bear dog.
Oh, I see. You've been watching Legend of Korra, haven't you?
Yes.
Do you think it'd be help if we talk about it a bit?
Maybe.
Alright, with them?
Okay.
Okay. The Legend of Korra is an American animated television series that premiered on Nickelodeon April 14th, 2012. It was created by Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko as a sequel to their previous show Avatar: The Last Airbender. This fictional world is made up of those who can bend, that is telekinetically manipulate the 4 elements, and those who cannot. Korra, the series' 17-year-old protagonist, is the incarnation of the Avatar and has the responsibility of restoring peace to the Earth ahead of her. Now, the series follows Korra as she learns airbending and faces an anti-bender revolutionary group, the Equalists, led by the masked Arlon.
It looks like we'll have to accelerate our plans.
And she has a polar bear dog as a best friend.
Hold it together, Sonya. Okay. The animation and the artwork is exceptional. It blends a traditional style and computer-generated animation. Now, this is what I was talking about with Soups v Elite.
Yep.
When you compare a film to what's currently screening on TV and it's not as good, then, it's just going to feel second-rate. At Nickelodeon, they are really earning their stripes with this one. In my opinion, they're fast becoming one of the top animation studios around.
Absolutely.
Now, with this series in particular, the movement of the characters have such a great embodiment of weight, and even each element itself has a different weight, which is fantastic. And the action is very cool, it's well choreographed. I even spent some time watching how they animated the mouths of the characters, which is very detailed. And the backgrounds, that's my favorite. Just wow, I love the palette. It changes with every new environment in a myriad of tones. It's wonderful. What did you think, Sonya?
Yeah, no, it is absolutely beautiful. I love the design of the world itself. Republic City is a metropolis that recalls a fictionalized 1920s Manhattan cross Shanghai. Frames aren't wasted either. There is a lot of cool things to look at as Korra dashes through the city in pursuit of a chi blocker.
Yeah. Now, the show itself has a nice maturity, but it's also very playful, which is great because it's not only accessible to all audiences, it's also very entertaining to all audiences. And most of the characters have a quick wit, which keeps even the most intense moments light and buoyant. The music is immersive. The sounds, I don't know, I wasn't quite impressed. I found it a little repetitive with the sound effects, but the voiceovers themselves, they're solid. Yeah. And the characters, themselves, they have depth and histories which they bring to it, and they're nice layers that are added in, and it's not jarring or superfluous. And what's great is the nemesis, I thought was quite interesting as well. He's very persuasive. Yeah. He goes by the name of Armon, and he has the ability to seal a bender's powers, which renders them completely useless. Now, the other character I really liked was Bolin and his pet red panda, Pabu.
So awesome. Yeah. But I actually really like Tenzin, Korra's teacher, who, he tries to be all gruff and tough, but he's often cracked by Korra or one of his own 3 Rugrats, who are hilarious. I love them. And of course, let's not forget Korra herself. She is an awesome female protagonist. She's hot, she's sassy, and she kicks ass.
Totally. Korra is awesome. I thought she was a great choice to carry the sequel. I'm really impressed with Nickelodeon, and now I'm feeling quietly confident about them handling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am, even with the 3D component and a few teeth-grinding changes, I'm feeling positive about it.
Yeah, you know what? I am too now after watching The Legend of Korra. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, good.
But this is definitely a buy from me. I think it's fantastic. There's nothing else really like it out there, which is kind of cool.
I agree.
The plot has been criticised for being a little slow, but I didn't find that. Did you?
A little bit. Not too much, though.
Not too much, though? It was enough?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a heavy criticism.
No, for me, it's like watching a film. Like, it's just, there's a whole arc there, and you can sit down and watch it again and again and again. Yeah. Brilliant.
Exactly. It was actually originally designed to be a mini-series and just finish at 12 eps. Yep. And so the last episode, it comes full circle, and you feel like you've accomplished this whole little bundle of a story, which is great. It's a big plus for me because it's not just, wavering on or, leave you cliffhanging for the next series. Yep. But the next series is slated to go ahead, and, I don't know, with the ending that it had, I feel a little dubious about where they're going to take the story now. But flip side is, if it's crap, if it's no good, it doesn't matter because you still have this wonderful series that you can just rewatch, and look, it's getting a big buy from me, definitely. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So, you feel better now?
Maybe a little.
Look, you want a polar bear, dog, I can get you a polar bear and a Labrador at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
All you have to do is worry about them.
No, Ray, no.
I'm just saying.
Ray.
I'm just saying. Try to help somebody. What do you gotta do?
Okay, now with Dark Knight Rises about to bat-grapple its way into a cinema near you, we thought it was a good idea to have a look at one of the newest takes on Batman that's come out recently, which is Batman Earth 1 from creator Jeff Johns. Now, this is being billed as Batman the Dark Knight for a new generation, which, especially with, Chris Nolan's work and everything, that's quite a big call, isn't it?
It is a very large call.
Yeah.
Now, Johns, of course, is no stranger to the old reboot. We've seen his work with Superman, Earth 1, but also with Flashpoint. Which
and the Batman in Flashpoint was such a vastly different character.
Yeah.
I was convinced we were going to have a real shake-up in this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
But we didn't really,
No,
did we?
it wasn't that different.
Yeah.
No.
This is a perfect example of do not judge a book by its cover. From the cover art and the hype on the back of this book, you kind of expect Batman to be completely different. You know, guns are blazing, or son of a mob boss that gets murdered, or something.
That's the kind of feel you get from the cover, isn't it? But the fact is, the changes are largely peripheral. I mean, they're, for the most part, it's really just tweaks rather than overall changes.
Look, now don't get me wrong, I did actually enjoy reading this book, but I just feel like it didn't deliver on all the promises it made.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I liked it too, is the thing. But mostly for the tweaks to the supporting characters.
Yes.
I mean, the fact is, this is a Batman story. Albeit a Batman story where Batman is a lot less cool than he normally is.
Yeah, he's kind of a tool in this.
I never thought I would ever hear you say that about Batman.
I never thought I would have to say that about Batman, but this is the joy of reboots. This is not my Batman.
And yet you did say you enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, no, I did, but mainly I think for the supporting cast, like we said.
Yeah.
As a Batman story, it is actually probably one of the weaker stories that I've read,
Yeah.
but I really liked how they've created these new origin stories for Alfred and Harvey Bullock as well.
Yeah, gotta say, hardcore shotgun-toting Alfred, pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool. I
pretty
like that.
awesome,
And
yeah.
also Harvey Bullock, very much. I mean, his journey through this was one of my favourite things about this book.
I actually think Harvey Bullock's story was my favourite part of the book.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing is he is our inroad into this new version of Gotham.
True.
We see the city and we see his reaction to it and how in fact Gotham changes him throughout this book, which I think is a really wonderful progression. And it's been beautifully done by Gary Frank with the face work on this. I think Bullock's facial work and actually everybody's was really, really good.
Okay, but you've got to admit, other than that, the artwork was fairly functional. I mean, there were a few nice detailed panels, but there were a lot of just blank backgrounds.
There
And
was-
sure, those might draw attention to the
Yeah.
faces, but it can also come across as lazy. I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 there.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, but I mean, for me, in the fight scenes, there was a lot of nice dynamic movement. I think the muscle structure on each character was done really well. And again, it's the faces. You know what I'm like with the faces of characters.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Overall, I'd seem better.
Shush. Anyway, I am going to give this one a buy. Like I said, I did enjoy reading it, but don't go into reading this thinking you are going to get a rebooted Batman, because you're not. You're just going to get a Batman story. Read it for the characters, read it for Alfred and read it for Harvey Bullock, and the artwork is good to look at. There are some beautiful panels in there, so I am going to give this one a buy.
Look, to start with, when I finished reading this one, I was actually thinking I was going to give it a buy.
Yep.
But then I stopped and went, wait, what am I actually enjoying about this? What do I actually like about it? And the factors that I liked, none of them were to do with Batman. And this is supposed to be a Batman story.
True.
I mean, you know, correct me if I'm wrong,
No,
but
no,
it's,
it's
you know,
Batman.
Batman Earth 1. And I mean, if it's not enough of a reboot for fans to enjoy it as a novelty, and if you just want to see a Batman who's a bit untrained and raw, we've already got Frank Miller's Year One. So
Which is superior.
I question the necessity for this book.
Fair enough.
Really, that's the problem.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm borderline on this, whether to go borrow
Make
or
a
bury.
decision.
I'm going to go borrow because of the supporting cast.
Okay, good.
They were still enjoyable enough to make this worth reading. But if you're a hardcore fan, you're probably going to find this a bit pointless. So maybe steer clear.
I am a hardcore fan and I hated it.
Oh.
the director.
That's the director.
It felt like it was written by a hack writer who got rejected in 1985 trying to reboot Batman.
There you have it.
There is absolutely no point whatsoever to this entire comic book.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Hardcore fan.
Hardcore fan, not gonna like it.
Hated it. So that's the thing. You know, if you're a hardcore fan, maybe.
I'm a hardcore fan.
Well, you guys should fight it out. Well, that is it for this week, guys. That's all she wrote. I'm glad your energy came up by the end there.
It was bound to.
It was. And you know what? Next week, it arrives. We will be at the King's preview screening of Dark Knight Rises, and we'll be there to give you our many, many, many thoughts.
There will be many thoughts.
Right
But
there.
never fear, guys, we are not turning into a movie review show. We will also be looking at issue number 1 of Revival and the Game of Thrones graphic novel, volume 1.
That should be interesting.
It will be interesting. I like
Okay.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.